Now, I call this meeting of the Red Oak Independent School District to order at 6:00 p.m. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of the meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. All board members are present. And we're going to start with Mr. Knight, if you'd give the invocation.
Father, we always come before you just say thank you for everything you do for us first. Father, and tonight, and always ask that as we make decisions for this school district, this community, for everyone involved, Father, we just ask that you give us that wisdom, that understanding, and to make that right decision, Father. Father, we know that each and every one of us, we all put into this district and this community. You know, this is our home. And Father, we just thank you so much for allowing us to be here like this, to be able to come in your presence. And as we make these decisions, Father, thank you for hearing us. Oh, Lord Jesus, amen.
Amen. And Ms. Porter, will you lead the pledges?
Yes. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor to the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Hi, we are going to begin with open forum, and we have two people that were signed up. So I have to read the little speech before you come up. We will now move into public comment section of our agenda. The board welcomes comments from citizens who have completed public comment forms this evening, which are accepted prior to the start of the meeting and are not transferable to other speakers. Please be advised that the information shared in public comment is the opinion of the individual speaker, not the district. 2 minutes per person have been allotted for public comments. Please keep all public comments related to school district governance and operations. If you have a specific concern related to an employee of the district or a specific student issue, you're encouraged to utilize the district's grievance procedures provided in board policies on the district website. Finally, remember that the board may not discuss or act upon any issues that are not properly posted on the agenda. So when I call your name, please come up to the podium and state your name. And after you have stated your name, the timer will start and you can watch it to see how long you have. So first, we have Andrea Roberts.
My name is Andrea Roberts. I'm here to ask that you approve the purchase of new band uniforms as presented in the March 2024 school board meeting. The band has a very real chance to attend the state UIL competition. These uniforms are necessary to allow the growth of this fine arts program. The presented uniforms are versatile, allowing us the ability to remove the sleeves and wear a maroon shirt underneath during football games, but also allowing the sleek look needed for the band competitions. As stated before, the kids are judged by their performance, with visual being a large portion. I ask that you please vote yes for these uniforms. To enforce how important this is to our band, I am missing my child's performance at the PAC right now, and I'm here asking that you approve these so that she and the remainder of the band may have the best chance for success next year and moving forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And next we have Ms. Crystal Dozier.
Hello, my name's Crystal Dosher. And I just want to say good evening. Thank you for being here. I'm here again to ask you to approve the current band uniform rendering. I understand some of the board's concerns about having more maroon, but we are asking for the current rendering to still be approved. We wear our spirit uniform well into September because it's so hot. This year, that was a navy blue shirt and khaki shorts, similar to what this shirt is. Last year, it was a black shirt with khaki shorts. The year before that, it was a gray shirt and khaki shorts. You all approved spirit shirts to be in colors beyond our school colors. So how is this any different? Right now, both of my daughters are on stage performing for the band, but I have to be here so you understand what the community is asking, what the community is wanting. And guess what they're wearing on stage right now? All black. Are we going to start changing the requirements to wearing maroon for concert band as well? I'm not sure where the line is drawn and what makes sense, where the band cannot wear black and where they can at other times. And the directors have shown you a rendering that has the maroon on the uniform and the maroon undershirt. That seems to me like a good compromise. The experts in fine arts have said this is the best for our program. You are being tasked to approve a purchase and not necessarily a design. Had we not had a concert tonight, the boardroom would be full of parents, students, and directors asking you to approve this purchase. So on behalf of them, I'm asking you, please approve the new uniforms and help us get them into production so we can get them unveiled for this year's show.
Thank you. Okay, now we will move into our action items. And first is the consideration of the purchase of 14-passenger non-CDL school buses.
And I'm going to make a comment real quickly, just so that we'll have this on the record too. People were asking exactly what we use these 14-passenger buses for, so I wanted to kind of give some examples before Mr. Stanford starts talking about the actual purchase. Some of the things that we use the small buses for are transportation to JJAEP, things such as the robotics teams, FFA service projects would be a use that we'd be able to use the small buses for. Archery team, JROTC leadership team, when just the leadership goes. McKinney-Vento students, we're currently tying up buses for that as well. Transportation of special needs students to specialized schools or facilities such as the blind and deaf facility. Small performance groups such as Cuddle Guard for parades and events, cheerleaders, softball, baseball, volleyball, basketball, UIL teams and events. So not trying to steal your show, Mr. Stanford, you can go ahead and proceed.
So before you is the purchase of 2 non-CDL buses to accommodate extracurricular trips in the district. Having these buses available will alleviate some of the need of using the larger buses for small groups. These are actually out of Oklahoma. They have them available right now, which are needs right now. Because right now we're using all the Suburbans but one for a lot of these things that they're doing with the Ghetto, all the other stuff that we have going on. And sometimes if baseball needs them, they might need 3 or 4 Suburbans, which we don't have. So this is something that we can utilize right now for this year and then have them for next year also.
Anybody have any questions about the
Hey, Brent,
smaller buses?
I know these are, I guess, gas engines.
Chevrolet vans
Okay, okay. And just, like I said, I know we've been through a lot of engine problems in the past, and I just want to make sure moving forward, just taking care of business on
Currently,
it.
what we're buying is currently what we have also. So this is currently the other 3 that we have the same
Okay, okay,
So these are what parts.
okay, sounds good. Thank you.
You said they're readily available, so if they give you the green light tonight, how fast can you get 2 buses?
2 weeks.
Anything else?
What engine is it, Brent? The 6-0 or an 8-1? Approved.
Is there a motion?
I make the motion that the board approve the purchase of two 14-passenger non-CDL buses opting out of SB 693 due to the lack of adequate funding from the 23-24 budget year.
Second.
Okay, so that was a motion by Ms. Knight, a second by Mr. Sebring. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Passes 7-0.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Next is the consideration of the purchase of new band uniforms. Mr. Nitch, Fine Arts Director, will talk to us again.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. And it is so very good to see you, Mr. Anderson. I have the uniform here for the benefit of our colleagues who were not here last week, and I can talk you through all of the different elements as well. I think that we have circulated some pictures with some different options for the sleeves, for the maroon sleeves. So, and I apologize for not having a student here wearing it, but as you may have heard, there's a band concert happening right at the moment, so you'll have to imagine. So what we have is we have the band jacket, which has kind of a swoop over to the left, which matches the hat that is outlined in maroon. The hat's topped with a maroon plume. And then down below, if you look, this is a fabric that hangs down, is what we call a drop or a leg cape, also with maroon down on the bottom. So this would be a part that would hang down towards the pants. The arms have maroon at the end, and as you may see, the arms are removable. So I have one on and one off. The arms can be removed. The performers can wear a long sleeve shirt underneath it, much like I'm wearing now, so that their arms could be maroon. They could be a different color, depending on the show concept or something like that. But all of that was done with the intent of making the uniform very flexible and something that can be modified over time, something that can be customized very easily. This drop can come off and on. The arms can go off and on. The hat is not a traditional hat like you probably remember. It's actually more of a visor with a hollowed opening. And this is just a wrap, which is another part that can be, again, customized. If we wanted to, we could pull this off. We could replace it with something specific to the show, specific to an occasion. So highly flexible. The black pants and the black majority jacket is very flattering to most body types. And on the football field,
So I think what you just did is actually was something that I was going to bring up tonight. Whenever I wasn't here last time, you guys ran in a saxophone player. I think that to promote your uniform, I think that's the worst instrument that you could have chosen. I think that you should have ran in a trumpet or a flute or a trombone or a euphonium or name something else. But because 80% of the time, whenever they're marching, and I only say this because I think that my kid marched the longest of the group that's up here, they're here, and that maroon is visible, and it is seen, and when the cape comes across, and when they're breaking across the screen, and the ability to actually have something that is interchangeable as that piece is, it's a good look. I know in Peyton's freshman year I think that this, first of all, the band raises more money themselves for any program in the building, regardless of who we talk about. I think on average, 75 grand a year. So they do a lot of buying of things on their own and building their own props and pushing their own props and all the things that goes along with this. But the base of what we actually need to start with, I think, is this or something very close to it. And it's because the black is flexible to interchange with multiple colors. I think that the white that we ran in and we saw, that looked like crap. And I said that, I told you that it looked terrible and I didn't like it. But I think that although it's not one of our base colors,
I think for performance and when we're on the field in competition, this band is, I'm telling you, this band is less than 10 points away from being a state contender. That uniform can make the difference, and in whether we elevate to that next level or we don't. And 7 years, 8 years, 9 years on the other uniforms.
I believe
10?
Said
15.
2015.
2015, so.
So we're
Close to 10.
close to 10. We're behind right now. And I know that I spent a lot of time this summer going to several places, Mesquite, Indianapolis, Illinois, as well as tracking my son and watching performances. And I know that's the next level, but the schools that are winning state and competing at state at the UIL level are mimicking everything that they're doing in the DCI realm of things. And I think that this, for what it is and what our colors are, is a good representation.
You look good, John.
And if correct me if I'm wrong, did some of our students help to design this uniform 2 years ago?
The other day it was.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Several have seen it and been able to comment on it. Obviously, we've had students wear it so that we could see it on an actual human.
Peyton just said that were asked to work on it a couple years ago. I didn't know if it had to do with them or not.
I do know they sort of, when we know we're coming up on a uniform year, that we would gather input from students about what they like and what they don't like and what they'd like to see in it. That
We
would
have to do that
translate
again and
into-
show Johnny, because when you're looking straight on at that with the arms up, the maroon is more visible at the top, and then also on the sash at the bottom, and the plume sets it off. But
But don't they have those things, I don't know what they're called, that they had on them the other day?
so they don't always wear those gloves all the time, and they certainly almost don't wear them at football games, right? Only during the shows is usually whenever you see that. I don't think that the impact for football games and where we see them the most at is going to be impacted by those gloves because they just don't wear them because they don't want to mess them up. Like most of the time in years past, we're wearing white gloves or black, just sock, like knit gloves, so that we don't, it's for aesthetics, so you don't see your the color of your hands, and so it all runs together and it actually highlights the instrument. And at other levels, it's so you don't get your grubby fingerprints all over it. But for the most part, you're going to see the maroon.
But they also said they could wear for our games. I'm not talking about competition
Yeah.
because I don't understand that part of it. I'm talking about our games. They can wear the maroon sleeves so that
Right, and they're interchangeable.
nobody had a problem with those sleeves right there. Nobody
Okay.
had one problem.
Well, I'm-
And we knew that they could put the maroon sleeve under it.
Right.
So that's,
Is that what the ask was? I'm just asking because I wasn't here
Right.
and I
no,
wasn't able to watch the video.
like you saw the picture, they showed us a white.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
great.
the white sleeve, to me, the white sleeve looked bad.
It was awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
It-
But then
so,
we had no problem with
with
the
the
sleeve
maroon,
once we knew it
It
could
ran
be
the
solid
cost of
maroon.
that uniform. It made it look very cheap.
Well, and I think that's what's important is that, again, I go back to, if we were our neighbors in Ellis County who had a military marching band and that we wanted to just be very standardized in maroon and white, okay, but that's not who we are. And every year we get judged on and we get marked for how we rank. Like everybody's trying to go to state and everything, right? We would agree, all of us agree, that's the goal. Well, the white ain't getting it.
Well, like I said, that wasn't the problem in that sleeve was not,
What I heard you say, Melanie, is that you have a motion in your hand to approve these uniforms.
no, all we asked was to have, how could they incorporate a little bit more maroon into that? Not for competition,
For football games.
But for football.
When you're in town.
One of our suggestions that I think were brought was, why couldn't the sash maybe be maroon? Because in the picture that they sent us, to me, with that maroon sleeve and that maroon sash, it was a completely different, it looks
So
great.
did it appear black before? Was it?
Yeah, a lot of
Did it
black.
just,
The one that they showed you can hold it up more. The maroon is just kind of on the very bottom.
right?
We just asked, could the sash be more maroon?
You might be able to pull it up a little bit, but not much more than
Why couldn't
that.
it be solid?
See what it looks like?
Because you're trying to fade it with the black so that it's not such a break. That's the whole purpose of the
And don't
fading.
wear it at competition. You know, because that was one of his points in the presentation was this sash can be, we don't have to wear the sash, we can add the sash, that's why it's so versatile. So instead of ordering that sash, we just asked, why couldn't it be solid maroon? And then if you don't like it for competition, don't wear it during competition.
Well, I think the point is to wear it during competition. Most people don't actually wear the sash during marching season on the football field at all.
Well, see, that part was never said to
Well,
us.
I'm here for you.
I'm so glad you're here.
All I have to say is just hearing earlier about the different colors that have been worn. I've been against that from the get-go because I feel like when we're on the property of the field of Red Oak ISD, it should be maroon and white, not blue, not purple, not green, and that's for any organization. That's my opinion. Yes, I am a Red Oak Hawk, and I believe our colors in the handbook are maroon and white.
I knew that wasn't going to be your best defense, Crystal. I knew.
Nothing against you. I didn't like it then. We didn't vote on anything. We weren't spending money on them. So, but I didn't like it. So I'm just saying, I'm honest. I'll admit it.
And that's part of it, I think, from some people that I've heard from was the shirts that you were talking about, Crystal, that like would maybe match something else on the field. The district didn't pay for those. If the district's paying for it, it's a little bit different. So you answered, but I want to hear what he has to say. What, in your opinion, is the difference in the solid maroon sash? Because what I thought we were told was, that wouldn't be a big deal.
What I would say on the sash is that it was designed so that it sort of mimicked the sleeve, which goes from black to maroon. I do think that we could look at moving the area where the fade begins so that there's more maroon on it, so that a bigger portion of the sash could be maroon and it would still match. I think going solid maroon would probably, you would probably need that transition from the bottom of the jacket into it, but I would say that we could make that area smaller so that more of the maroon shows, so that color will pop some more.
Well, that was my first question that was posed was, why can't we make it go up? And then I was told, oh no, but we can order a maroon sash. Okay, I mean, every
It's
time we discuss it,
sublimation. You can do whatever.
I know, that was my question. It's in my first rodeo. So I'm getting answers that aren't the same as I've heard before. So that's my question. So if it's solid maroon, that's bad for competition.
I think that just to make the design as aesthetically pleasing as possible, you would just want to have some level of transition from the black so that fade is still there. But I think you could make a bigger portion of the sash itself could be maroon, so that fade could just start a lot higher so that it's still there, so that there's a kind of visual transition, and it also will continue to match the sleeves. But I think you could make that color a little bit, you could start the fade
What can
up here as opposed to down here, and I think that would give you that would present a
Be
much
problem
bigger.
that's not going to be a big problem if
That-
we,
No.
so can I
wouldn't
jump
think
in for 1 second on that?
yes.
So I think part of the reason why the maroons start so low is because when the students are in motion, that you can see if it's more maroon up, you're going to see that in motion moving. And what you're trying to achieve, obviously, in marching is how smooth you are and how in unison you are whenever you're moving across the field. And that's probably the reason why it's so low. I just for the record, I haven't talked to any of these people. Like, I won't whoop you. But I think that is the why. And I think that I can show you some stuff from where Peyton marched. The uniform is very similar to what he marched in the summer. And as far as the sash and the shoulder, like the whole bit is very, very, very close. Just, I would say that the hat is taller, but literally it makes a huge difference in how fluid they move together. And like, it sounds like it's hogwash, but it's really,
No, we believe you, Brian. We're
I
just saying.
think it's mainly because it's all about competition. And it's like, we're not just competition band. We are a spirit type band as well. So I think that's where for me, and I don't know about the others, but I feel like that's a lot of the things is because it's morely talked about competition, which we're all for. We'd love for our band to win state. My question is, the sleeve on there now, are we talking, just so I'm clear in my head, Friday night football games, home and away, are we wearing that sleeve there with the little bit of maroon? Or are we wearing the main, or do you alternate it?
I think that if we approve those uniforms, they'll wear what color you want them to wear, Donna.
Well, that sounds
on
really
Friday
good.
night.
Been there, done that. Some do things and some don't.
Well, if you
And
want,
you get a new person come in. You get say Jason's gone and the next person comes in, oh yeah, you can wear the whole black. You know, it can change overnight. It just depends on who's in charge. So that's why I'm asking. I want to be clarified of when I vote, I want to make sure that I know it's not going to be solid black out there on that football field.
Okay, but let me say this. Again, I don't have a problem with these black uniforms. They're not winning state on Friday night's performance. That's homegrown. So the pride and tradition of the maroon is what they're asking to see at home.
Right.
When you're competing and you're away and we want you to bring home that state title, go Mighty Hawk Band. Like,
Absolutely.
What do you need to put on? Because you're not going to win state on Friday night. So good luck and wear what you need to wear.
But that's what I asked him, Mr. Nitch, the question, and he answered me, and then Brian contradicted what he said. You told me just now that bringing that maroon up some is not going to affect your point system or anything else during competition.
I would say it's a negligible compromise.
I mean, you're talking about 7 judges who are judging,
It's
right?
subjective, right?
It's subjective.
It's subjective.
But
But that's why we're going with the black, because that's for competition.
Correct.
So, I mean, that's why we are called this whole special meeting, was not to talk about, or not to see the exact same thing, that we asked what can be changed just a little. We didn't say go back and make that whole uniform maroon. We didn't say that. We said that uniform is great. You've worked on it a long time. Just show us, how can we get a little bit more maroon? That's why we're here. So.
Will y'all even be wearing the drape on Friday nights?
The leg cape?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think,
That's what's gonna bring up, that's the only place they can bring more maroon in.
well, I think to speak to your point, the removable sleeves was another, option that we had, and we did, get some pictures with the young
Yeah, right,
man in
that's
the
what I'm
maroon
saying.
sleeves.
We
So-
asked 3 questions.
Right.
One, can we do the sleeves? Y'all said yes, perfect. We got the picture, looked great.
Yeah.
But even in, maybe it's just my old eyes, but if you look at that drawing, that's what even made me think about the sash. In that drawing that we were sent, it does appear that maroon is going up higher than the actual uniform that we saw. And that's what because I asked Miss Sanford, I said, oh, look, that's higher. And then she said, no, I don't think it is. I think you're just looking at it wrong. So that's what, and it looked great. That drawing that y'all sent us
You have it, Sean?
Yes. This is what
Was-
she's talking, this is the part that she's talking about.
was awesome.
Where-
That uniform is
where-
great.
Where that cape down there is only like, is like this, and that shows a little bit more. And I think that's, and it's sublimation. So, I mean, that's, and when we looked at this picture, and
Everybody went, cool. That's
was-
great.
That was different than what
That shows.
Now, of course, I understand there's pictures and there's, and then what gets made, but and I think that's kind of what we were looking for, and with
Right.
a little bit of extra, on the sash. Just a little bit, maybe a little further up the leg than what it is. That still fades into the black, because the whole point is it's matching in line with the leg.
Right.
So I understand that, but I think
But that
what we
picture
were
did
looking
show
for
more.
was more like this. And I know you weren't gonna get a sash made in 3 days.
Sure.
But I think that is kind of what the whole idea was that it maybe gone up just a little bit further.
And again, that's my question. We are being asked, and whether you think so or not, we are scrutinized every dime that is spent. Why did you do this? Why did you approve that? Who would do this? For $200,000, us asking for this much more maroon on a sash, and you said it wouldn't be a problem, or it would be a minute problem.
I will tell you something else that's on this picture too. The maroon on the slash here.
Yeah, that looked good, but
Looks a little thicker, instead of like, you got like
Yeah, I can barely see the maroon on that. I can see it on the hat versus that.
But
That's why I
on
said
this,
the pictures
on this
are
picture
always
that you sent us, it was a little bigger. That looked
Yeah.
like more like an eighth that's stitched, instead of more like a quarter in this. And this is what, I mean, I don't think that anybody has an issue with this, but I think what they sent or what we got is that's kind of the bigger issue, is that we need to make sure that maroon piece is a quarter, not an eighth, because that looks more like an eighth. That's the quarter on here. And I think that
It's
will
bigger on the hat than on the-
surpass everybody's a little bit more maroon in that thing. That being said, I'm cool with it.
Can we see the hat?
This looks more, this looks, I can see this much brighter than the maroon on the shirt.
It's a difference in material.
The what?
It's the difference in material. That's all.
Parents that are out there, did y'all see the picture that we're talking about? Would you like to see it?
Yeah, because it's like, I can see that real stripe, but it doesn't show up as bright on the shirt. And maybe when the maroon sleeves are in there, it'll show up more.
It'll pull it. What think, John Boy?
So I wasn't here when this was presented, but I think we're getting outside of our scope. They're asking for us to approve the amount to go buy band uniforms. They didn't ask the board
To do that.
for your opinion, for your design. When we want to see more maroon, then in my personal opinion, it's, hey, Ms. Sanford, we want to see more maroon on Friday night. And then it's up to the superintendent to make that happen. Not tell the band director, not tell fine arts director, not tell whoever. We don't tell any other organization what they should and shouldn't wear. We have our thoughts, of course, but I'm a Red Oak Hawk too. It wasn't a question back when I was in school why we have to wear blue or green or purple or whatever. I don't understand that. I really don't. Spirit shirt to me, our schools, have you seen the school song? We're maroon and we're white. Should be pretty simple. Common sense should say, hey, we're either maroon or we're white. Well, there's not an abundance of common sense anymore. So we've lost that. Now we've added in all these extra colors because and my concern is when people show up that aren't from Red Oak, and you look at the stands, you can't tell which side Red Oak's on because everybody's wearing every color but maroon and white. And I don't think you're going to change that. I think we as a board, that's the direction we give the superintendent. This is what we want to see. This is what we'd like to see. Then it's up to the superintendent to make that happen however it happens. But I really think we're going to go down a path, just like the standardized address. When we did the standardized address, we didn't come up with what was in the standardized address. We just set that in policy. It was up to administration and cabinet and whoever they decided to determine what was going to be in that. Didn't mean they did ask our opinions on some stuff, but doesn't mean that I like everything that we have. But again, we have one person that's accountable to the board, and that's the superintendent. And I think that's how we need to drive this stuff. I mean, and I would like to say that, when we have these type of purchases, is that, we get these things a little bit sooner than March, April timeframe. I don't think that's too much to ask. So it is, if there is a question or concern, you have time to go and do whatever you need to do. You talk about going to state. Well, I was here in 2015 and, that's what we were told about the other uniforms. They were going to take them to the next level. The uniform's not going to put these kids at state. It's the kids in the uniforms, right? This uniform and these uniforms are there to hide some of the inconsistencies from kid to kid and all different sizes and everything else. I don't think a judge is saying, I don't like that uniform. I don't like the color of it. I don't really think that comes into play. I think it's, like you said, about uniform. When they look, does everybody look the same when they're marching? The kids are uniform, and it's just like in the military, right? You can tell a guy that's out of step because his head's bobbing up above everybody else. It's very easy to see, and the judges are very, very good about seeing things that we wouldn't see, not necessarily see, right? So, we want to give the band the best opportunity to be able to do that. But I do think from this standpoint, it's more about giving them the tools and let the superintendent take it from there. I would have said this if I was here at the last board meeting, but unfortunately I couldn't be here. So that's my 2 cents.
Well, you touched on the problem. It would have probably gone that way, but we were told, they only have days to order this in order for the uniforms to be back in time for next school year. It's 180 days. So I think that's why when we were asked to approve the amount, it was either do it now or they're going to be late. So had it been earlier, like you said, Ms. Sanford would have had time to look at it and make some decisions. And again, we're asked to approve what I consider a large amount. Not too much. I think, it's in line with what band uniforms cost. We just asked for that one little thing, for a little bit more maroon. So does anybody else have any?
I just want to talk for a minute, like I said, the uniform itself with the maroon sleeves at our home games, or away games, I don't have a problem with it. And I understand competition. I would want to see more maroon on the sash. I think it'd make it look better, just like the picture you sent. When I seen that, I thought, I like this one. That's pretty awesome because you got the maroon showing up just as across the front of it. I seen that, and I seen the sash, I seen the uniform, and I thought, okay, this one looks really cool. I like this one. Even though, like I said, that one there, it looks nice, but to me, it didn't have the maroon. And like I said, I know what John's talking about. We need to make a decision, on as far as purchasing these things. The other question I guess I have is the amount of uniforms. The time we look at, these things are like $712 a piece. So we do, just like Melody said, the community asks us questions. Why? I know they're 9 years old. I know our uniforms are getting old. And we can get something that really looks nice, that our kids can be proud of, that they can walk with their head held high. And that's what we want. But we also got to keep in mind, how many are we going to purchase? And I know we got middle school coming up. We have some coming in from there. But at $712 a piece, we're accountable for the funds. They look to us, the community looks to us and says, how come you bought so many? Well, this is the reason why. So those are the things that I'm more of the numbers person. That's what I try to look at is, so if somebody approaches me from the community in Brookshire's, I can say, this is what we did, this is how much it was, this is the reason we did it, and give them a straightforward answer. And that's like I said, that's the reason I'm asking. It was asked last time, how many uniforms or how many kids do we have in band? And I know you're looking at a third, of additional. Just because I know not everyone fits the same. So, but, we also don't want to look at piecemealing either. We want to be able to go in, supply them the need, get them on the field, let them look good, let them win, bring home the trophy. We're all about that. It's just, like I said, it's my deal is how many do we actually need with a third more? And like I said, I understand the third more is just because of fitting a lot of times. That's where I want to round it down or round it up, whatever it takes to have an understanding, what do we really have to have?
Part of the projection that goes into the request for 250 uniforms is looking at historical data. And so I've looked at the enrollment data going back into 2016, 2017, quite a while. What you're seeing now in the high school band is you're seeing the high school band experience their COVID dip. This group of ninth graders, which I have one, was the sixth grade class that started sixth grade during COVID. So middle school band numbers were greatly reduced. So, and I know because I looked at this today, fall of 20, the previous year, fall of 2019, so fall prior to COVID, we had about 370 students, 360 or 70 students in our middle school band. Fall of 2020, while COVID was ongoing, there were 260. So what we're seeing now in the high school is we're seeing the result of that drop. But what I'm looking at then is I'm looking at data, is I'm looking at what those numbers at the middle school look like now. So we get into COVID, we're looking at 260-ish kids in the middle school band. Now we're looking at this fall, we're back in the 330s and the 340s. So that group and that population number-wise is returning to historical norms, which were pretty well established in the 350s and the 360s in those years prior to COVID. So as I look at this as a purchase that's going to have to last us 7 to 9 years, I'm also having to predict a little bit that what we're going to see is now this year's sixth grade class, which is returning to historical norms at the sixth grade, that's going to continue to matriculate up. So that right now, when we look at the high school band, what we're really seeing is we're seeing the smallest high school group we're ever going to see because they're in the dip right now. This freshman class, this is the smallest freshman band class we're going to see. It's going to be the smallest sophomore class. It's going to be the smallest junior class. The classes that follow continue to get progressively bigger. This year's freshman class, or this year's sixth grade class, when they are freshmen 4 years from now, 3 years from now, that will be a huge freshman class, and every class behind them will be roughly the same. And my anticipation, the prediction, if you look at the data, is that the high school band will return to the norms of being right in the general vicinity, plus or minus 10 or 15 students, of about 200 students. If you do the math on 200 band students, 190 students, 210 students, it gets you into that area where you're needing the third more would kick you to somewhere in the 250 uniform range. And we could do less than that right now and see what happens. If we have to come back and buy additional uniforms because we don't have enough 5 years from now, the cost is exponentially greater. You'd probably be looking at $900 per uniform or more, just because of cost increases and then because of the smaller run. So it is a little bit of prediction, and it's a little bit of projection. But as Ms. Sanford knows, I'm kind of a data nerd, and I really get into that. And so I've tried to take a close look, again, at historical norms, pre-COVID historical norms, and then I've also tried to look at whether or not those numbers are rebounding. And what I see is that they are rebounding at our middle schools, and so that tells me we're going to see the numbers readjust to pre-COVID levels here in the next 2 to 3 years. So that's why the ask is at 250.
And I understand also, Red Oak's growing. We've got people moving here right and left.
Sure.
So I know we're going to have the growth. And it's just, like I said, it's just one of those deals that I have to have it in my mind when we say, yes, we're going to spend this kind of money, that if somebody approaches me, I can explain to them why. Or any one of these, because we get stopped and asked questions a lot.
So, can I
Yes.
speak to the numbers this year in our band, this fall in the band on Friday nights, we were feeding about 185 total. That was including parents. You can count on about 20 volunteers. That means we had about 165 students. A 30% increase on that is 215 students. And if you look at the length of time that they have kept uniforms traditionally, even if you go on the low side to a 7-year, you're looking at an average about $142 per uniform per year is what it really breaks down to, brass tacks. About $142, $143.
Which I can see that, I understand. But,
That's what I'm
like
saying, is we
you-
put that out there so that they know we're not, that's money that we're not spending every year. It only comes in a lump sum.
Yes, and like I said, I understand that part.
I know you do.
Like I said, breaking the calculates. But, like I said, that's one thing that, we can have, or discussions in Walmart about that, hey, if you break it down over a time period, this is basically what it is.
And that's why I said it, I only said it verbally for the public's knowledge. So if they're watching this, they know
Sure.
when it breaks down, that's what we're looking at, is about $143 per student per year for 215 students.
Yeah, because I know, like I said, I know we're going to keep these for, approximately 9 years.
It gets cheaper if we go to 9.
Yeah. 7 to 9, whatever it is, so.
Is there some kind of guarantee, like if, microphone, if we, when we purchase these, not if, when these uniforms are purchased, and we know ahead of time that 7 to 9 years, is there some kind of guarantee from this company that say in 5 years, Red Oak explodes and we need 100 more? And we call them and say, oh, we need 100 more, and they're, oh, we don't make those anymore. Then, or is there a guarantee of 7 to 9 years we can call and we can replenish these?
I don't know the answer to your
Good
question.
question.
I would guess, purely a guess, because of the way that I know they're manufactured and believing that that's probably going to remain the standard method for a while. We don't have, for example, uniforms where they sew a lot of things on it anymore. It's all, printed, I would imagine, I would guess that we would not have an issue like you described. I would imagine that we would be able to, if Red Oak blows up, we could replace the band uniforms with roughly the equivalent that were lost in the fire.
Anybody have anything else? Well, before I ask for a vote, I'm going back to the question. Somebody tell me yes or no, or are you gonna look at the sash or not?
Brenda will tell them to.
But we can't,
It's a directive.
okay. Well, in that case, do I hear a motion?
I motion.
And be specific.
I got it, darling.
Yeah, we'll see.
I move that we recommend accept option number 2, the purchase of 250 band uniforms from Dumoulin Brothers and Company not to exceed $215,162.30 using buy board contract 670-22. This price would include additional pieces.
Second.
I have a question about the,
Go ahead.
Option.
on the, what is the $31,000 difference in option 1 and 2?
Extra uniform.
That was an option that we put together when we were discussing whether or not we would purchase a second hat wrap or a second drop. I don't believe that we're pursuing that. I believe we're
that's
just
not
going to.
what-
Yeah, if we had talked about last time, if we wanted more maroon for a hat, that they could do, since it is a visor type, they could do like a spirit wrap. So that was, how much? I can't remember. Do you remember?
It was, yeah, 17 or 18,000
Yes,
dollars.
and so then we talked about if we did a solid maroon sash, so they could still have the competition flow. And if we did the solid maroon was 12,000. So if that's an option that y'all wanted for them to have a totally separate maroon sash, we would have to go with that number 2 option.
Well,
I
I
think the
think-
hat is gone.
I think
As far as
number
the-
2, it says not to exceed.
It does say not to exceed.
Yeah.
But you have to make the option 1 motion. Right? Or wrong?
I think that 2 covers 1, if I understood it, and the numbers that I gave to you was off of that numbers.
Yeah, but it's not to exceed 183, not to exceed 215. Or am I looking at, I may be
It
looking
does
at
not
option
say
one.
not
You're
to
getting
exceed.
the uniform and not any of the extra
There's a
stuff.
base and
I
then
thought that's
there's
what we
an
did.
addition.
That's option 2.
That's what
So if we
option-
go with option 2, there will be additional
They can do an
sashes.
additional solid maroon sash if that's what y'all would like to see on Friday nights. There
It
can
was
be
the
an additional.
option for it,
Yes.
That was
but
an
not
option
to
that we,
exceed this
that was an
amount.
option we priced out.
So option 2 is the better of the two.
Okay, then we need a second.
It already did.
Second for John.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now just make us proud, please.
Let's go
Yeah,
get it.
let's see that state thing.
Go Mighty Hawk Band.
Yes.
Thank y'all for,
Thanks for listening.
yeah.
Just, yeah.
We truly do care. We do support you.
Listen, there's not a group of 6 people who care more about, let me say 8, okay? I'm being sarcastic. There truly aren't people who care more about what happens in and around our district and for and with our students, our staff, and just overall, everybody who comes in. Like, when I tell you these people are passionate about everything that has ROISD on it, I mean, I'm not from here. They'd kill me first. But we love ROISD, and we want to make sure that we're doing the right things for all the students and for all the staff.
Yes.
If you don't like ROST, you want to wear green or blue, go down the street.
Okay.
She said you
Are
have
we-
options.
We don't have to go into closed session, right? Hey, does anybody have anything else before we close? Then if there's nothing else, the time is 6:55 PM, and we are adjourned.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all.